Hey guys, this is Android Nub and this is the fourth part of the best Android games of 2013, part 4. First up is Gangster Vegas, a 3D Grand Theft Auto type open world third-person shooter published by Gameloft. This game has really good graphics, though some environments look a little bland. When I played it, did have some slight performance problems, but overall it runs decent enough to play. It is really good at voice acting and does have a story. The car driving is pretty good. Though some of the animations are a little stiff, like fighting, and the shooting is kind of auto-aimed, but overall this game is still pretty decent. So the next game is Batman Arkham City Lockdown, published by Warner Bros. So this game is a Batman brawler, basically. It's like a fighting game with Infinity Blade inspired controls. You swipe across the screen to attack, and basically all you do is just fight enemies over and over again. And there's stuff to unlock, new skills and upgrades to upgrade Batman. And there's lots of levels to go through, lots of many different kinds of enemies to fight, as well as boss battles. And this game does get a little repetitive, but the graphics are pretty good and runs really smooth, animations are smooth. But overall the game is still kind of decent, kind of more casual. So if you're a fan of Batman, you may want to check out this game. Next up is Man of Steel, a 3D brawler type fighting game published by Warner Bros. Again, this game is very similar to the Batman game I just showed you. It's a fighting game, you swipe across the screen to attack, except this time you're Superman instead of Batman. This game is more story based than the Batman one, and you go through chapters, and it kind of has a story that you go through. Though it's still basically just fighting enemy after enemy, with some cool scenes and stuff. Graphics are pretty good, though there is a slight performance problem, a little laggy. So yeah, if you're a fan of Superman and these kind of fighting, kind of more casual type games, you may want to check this one out. Next up is Bounty Hunter Black Dawn, a 3D first-person shooter RPG published by Freyr Games. This game is very similar to the PC/console game Borderlands. Basically, it's a first-person shooter with RPG elements. You talk with NPCs to get quests, and it's also online, so you can play co-op with other players as well as PvP. Basically, you have quests, and there's lots of different kind of guns and equipment to get, and you kill monsters to get equipment, and it's pretty easy to get new guns and stuff. There is a lot of variety of different weapons and armor you can get for different classes to play. Basically, you just play through the map and then you eventually unlock more maps, new quests to do. So yeah, this game is pretty unique. The graphics are good and the shooting mechanics are good as well. The next game is Might and Magic Clash of Heroes, a 2D RPG published by Ubisoft Entertainment. So this is the Android port of Might and Magic Clash of Heroes, which is also on PC, Nintendo DS, and various other consoles. This game is a pretty unique game with puzzle-based combat. So you kind of have an army of units, kind of matching units to create attacks and defenses. As time goes on, you're going to need more strategy. The game has a good story. It's really story-based, lots of character, dialogue, and interactions, and you kind of go through different maps. And from what I've played, the story is actually pretty good. So if you're interested in this game, you may want to check out some of the reviews on other platforms, because I think this is pretty much the exact same game. It also has co-op. Next up is Stargate SG1 Unleashed, Episode 1, a 3D action adventure game published by Arkham Interactive. So I think this game is based on the original Stargate SG1 series, and this game is pretty nice. It's completely voice acted, a lot of cutscenes and story elements. Combat's action-oriented, has cover mechanics, tap on enemies to shoot them, and can hide behind cover. There's also some puzzles, and one thing I like is this game has some dialogue choices. Reminds me of games like Mass Effect, can have some dialogue choices. I'm not sure how much they affect anything, but I did get a kind of console quality feel to this game. Voice acting in this game, it could be a little better, it's not that great, but overall the game is pretty cool. Definitely worth it for fans of Stargate. Next up is Brave Heroes, a 2D castle defense game published by Comtois. This game doesn't differ too much from other castle defense games, but what it does is pretty good. The game is pretty strong in its castle defense elements. There's many different heroes to unlock in this game, and basically it's a typical castle defense game. You can summon units and you basically have to destroy the enemy's castle on the other side. The graphics in this game are pretty cute and colorful, runs really smooth, has in-app purchases, but overall I think you can get most stuff with in-game coins. It's pretty fun and well made, though a little simple. more of a casual game. The game gets harder as you go on, and if you're a fan of these casual defense games, I think you'll be pleased with this one. Next up is Rivals at War 2084, a 3D card-based war simulation game published by Hothead Games. This game is very similar to the previous Rivals at War title, except this one has a sci-fi, space, futuristic theme to it. Again, this is a card-based game in terms of you have soldiers, which are cards, and you get decks and build your soldiers up, and there's also skill cards, and you set it all up in the beginning and play against other teams and complete missions. So again, you can't actually control your characters. You don't have direct control over your soldiers in this game. You just, after you set up your team and skills, you just watch them battle other teams, and you just kind of watch. The graphics are really good and runs really smooth, even though you don't have direct control over your characters. The game is still pretty cool and interesting to watch. And the game gets more challenging and intense as time goes on. So yeah, it's free, so check it out. Next up is World War Z, a 3D zombie shooter published by Paramount Digital Entertainment. When this game was released, it got pretty bad reviews. This is a zombie shooter, but it's not like a free roaming, free moving zombie shooter like Dead Trigger. People say it's kind of like a rails shooter. I mean, you can move around when there isn't any action going on, but when zombies appear and you go into combat, you can't move your character. Personally, I feel like I'm one of the few people that actually thought this game wasn't too bad. Like, even though you can't move during the shooting, I mean, it does help your aim if you're not moving around. And I feel like this game does kind of pace itself well. You know, you're like moving around doing stuff, and then zombies come out of nowhere and you shoot them, and then you continue on. I found this game does have kind of high production value. Like, the graphics are good, and it runs pretty smooth. There is also a story, and the voice acting is pretty good. Plus, this game was originally $4.99. They changed it now to 99 cents. So now I think this game is worth the price. Of course, I haven't played too much of this game, so I'm not really sure how much content it has, but from what I've seen, the game does seem pretty good. It may not be for everyone, but yeah, they did make it cheaper. So next up is Scribblenauts Remix, a 2D creative puzzle game published by Warner Bros. This game is pretty fun. It's like a creative game where you use your imagination to create solutions to many scenarios and puzzles. So this game, you can create items by typing nouns and they just appear on the screen. I found this to be pretty cool and fun because the game pretty much recognizes almost every word you could think of, and you just can create tons of different things to help you finish scenarios. It's pretty cool, pretty fun. You can come up with some really crazy, unique ways of completing the level. There is a lot of replayability. Found that this game is a really fun way to pass the time. So yeah, check this game out. If you guys want to learn more about the games you see here or discover new games, make sure you check out my channel, subscribe for more videos, and thanks for watching.